Hello there. Welcome to the new player guide to Retail World of Warcraft, episode 3. We're going to continue our journey through the Dragonflight expansion and campaign. But before we dive back into leveling our character up, we're going to take a brief moment to talk about two pretty important concepts to the way that the game is currently played. I mentioned them at the end of the last episode. We're going to talk about add-ons and we're going to talk about weak auras. So we'll start with add-ons because that is a broader, all-encompassing sort of concept. And I mentioned last time that add-ons are essentially mods, but they're really focused on like the UI elements of World of Warcraft. So, in our last video, we switched over to Outlaw Rogue, which had these buffs from Roll the Bones, and they were random buffs every single time. And you saw every time I would drag my mouse up to the top right, and I would look and I would see, what buff did I get? And it can be, of course you can keep looking up in the top right, but we also talked when we were editing the UI about trying to bring everything towards the center and like keep everything organized and focused. So one of the ways to do that is to leverage add-ons, which will allow you to customize your game experience even more. So there's a couple different ways that you can get add-ons, and we'll take a look at those now. When you're in the game, whenever you open up the game menu, so at the character screen, it's up at the top, and then in game, if you hit escape or open up the game menu, you'll see a section here in the middle called add-ons. And this will be an important feature because once you install an add-on, and we'll talk about that, but once you install an add-on, you'll be able to toggle it on and off. And you can see these are the ones that I have installed for my my other account. And I had them all disabled for the purpose of this video. And there's a fair few, but trust me, it's tame compared to some, and it is each one kind of serves its own purpose, and we'll talk about them not all at once, right? We'll go through weak auras today because we want that one for our Roll the Bones buff, but we don't have to talk about every single one of them. So, but this is how you find it in the menu. But how do you get them? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to switch over to a couple different resources. So there are a couple of different places to get add-ons and weak auras and weak aura packs. One of the areas that I would suggest taking a look at in the beginning is that Wowhead guide. So your class Wowhead guide will have a section down at the bottom that says weak auras, macros, and add-ons. And you can read through this section to really learn about ones that are recommended for your class. We'll talk about weak auras specifically. Weak auras is the name of an add-on, but it's a very, 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 very powerful add-on. Says it right here. Weak Auras 2 is an extremely flexible add-on with near limitless creative potential and control, capable of replicating or replacing any part of the user interface. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into that one. And we'll talk about these weak aura packs as well. And then later on, we'll talk about macros too. Macros, they're not add-ons, they're not weak auras, but macros are basically shortcuts or commands that you can put in the game that will allow you to do things a little bit faster. Perfect example is of a macro that's useful is this one. You saw in the last video, I had grappling hook, and I would push the button and there would be a little green circle on the screen, and I would click and it would, boom, shoot me over there. I would hook over. What this macro will allow you to do is instead of having to click, it will just process that skill ability at your existing cursor location. But we're not going to talk about macros right now. We'll get into those a little bit further on. And then weak auras, macros, recommended add-ons. One of these is Hakili. Hakili has essentially been kind of like built into the game now. We'll talk about that with the rotation helper. Boss mods are add-ons that we'll talk about. Damage meters, And then you can also sort of download a full UI kit. So here are some recommendations on popular add-ons, but we'll talk about, what do these look like? How do I get them? Where do I go? Stuff like that. And they do actually talk about it here, CurseForge and WoW interface. So back in the day, what you would have to do was go to one of the add-on resources like the website curseforge.com. They have add-ons and mods for other games as well, but if you go to curseforge.com and click on the World of Warcraft link, you can see all of these different add-ons. And probably one of the most useful things is like the popular add-ons section, because these are going to be the ones that are installed by most of the players. They are, of course, damage meters, and then weak auras. So damage meters puts a window on the screen that allows you to see how much damage you're dealing to your targets. And we'll talk about that. Now, back in the day, what you used to have to do is you used to come to a site like CurseForge and go to search and find the add-on that you wanted, click the download button, and then go into your World of Warcraft folder and go into the game version that you're playing. So we're playing retail. Go into your interface folder, go into your add-ons folder, and that's where you would drop your downloaded file after you extracted the zip file. You no longer have to do that anymore, so we don't actually need to complete that. Each of these add-on providers has their own installer or app that you can use to not only browse add-ons, but install them, keep them updated. One of the things about add-ons is that every time a new patch comes out, you have to update them and reinstall them. So I'm going to pull up some examples of like what those browsers look like now. So we'll grab, this is the another resource for add-ons and for weak auras is wago.io, wago.io. We'll talk a little bit more about the website here, but they have an active app, which is what you see up in front of you for updating add-ons. You can also keep your weak auras updated. We'll talk about those in a second. And then Wago has what are called UI packs. So what I might recommend for like a new player, if what they see when we start configuring add-ons interests them, is to actually start with a UI pack. That'll have something that is configured by a streamer or a content creator, and will show you. We'll just set everything up for you so that you don't have to worry about the configuration and stuff like that. And then here is another version here, CurseForge. I don't use CurseForge anymore, but so I got some updates. But here you can see the list of add-ons, and then if you need to update them, you can do it all within this tool pretty easily. Update all, and you can also discover and browse those different add-ons. So just like you saw on the web browser, those are available. You can view all the popular add-ons, and if you click into them, you can learn more a little bit about like what they do. So how do you download these clients? So just at wago.io, you can click the download app, and then on CurseForge, you can get the CurseForge app up in the top right. Like I mentioned, I use Wago just because I think it's a little bit, I don't know, CurseForge has gone through some purchases and some different iterations, so I'm trying to just do everything out of Wago. But on the Wago website, this was primarily created as a way to share and host different WeakAuras, which is an add-on. Like I said, we'll talk about those specifically soon. But up at the top of theirs, they have imports that you can search for, and then you can also go over to the add-ons and look, just like you can with CurseForge. You can filter by different types that will impact different UI elements. And then you can also go to the UI packs. So this is a great place to take a look, and you'll see here very, very different than what the game looks like, at the default. So you can click into a UI pack and you can take a look at some of the screenshots and some of the GIFs on what it looks like. And you can see here, my screen had the very basic default, and then these UIs are a lot more slim, sleek, cleaner. They highlight very specific pieces of information. This is all done with WeakAuras. In this example right here, these little icons that pop up, these are your buffs that were up in the top right of the screen. And they'll show you the most relevant ones that you'll need at that time and where you're at in terms of your stack counters and timers and stuff like that. So if, for example, we were using this on our rogue, buff would pop up that would say, we are, you have this roll the bones buff, and it is either good or it's bad. And there's a bunch. I know they highlight 3 up here at the top, but you can see if you scroll down, there's actually a ton. You can sort this by download. You can go through, and if you have another favorite streamer, you can mirror their UI pretty precisely, and it's all done by downloading this specific pack, which you can do in the Wago app, and you can pick that one. And so the huge benefit of these UI packs is that it's going to come with everything that you need. It's going to be like a one-stop shop. So really, really cool. It'll list the add-ons that are used here. It'll install these add-ons. It'll provide resources if you're having trouble. Growl's UI, Yumi TV, his UI is really, really good. I might recommend this for someone who's starting out. It is very similar to the UI that I use. And it just, like I said, it just takes a lot of the work out of customizing it yourself. But I don't want this video to go on forever. It's not a full-fledged Addons WeakAuras video. So I've shown you the apps to download the add-ons and keep them updated. I've shown you how to find UI packs, and we're going to go over to WeakAuras as well. We'll talk about those. So for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to toggle back over to World of Warcraft, and I am only going to turn on one add-on. I'm just going to turn on WeakAuras because that's kind of like really all I want right now. So I'm just going to toggle these guys on, and we're going to see what happens when I log in. I think what it might do is just load my already created default WeakAuras, just due to how the files are set up, and that'll be interesting. If that's the case, we'll just kind of like go through and I'll talk about WeakAuras individually. So I turned on WeakAuras and I'm going to go into the game. Before I do that, just like a brief overview of some of the add-ons that I use. Many of these you'll see in some of the other packs. WeakAuras, extremely customizable, great for tracking buffs, ability cooldowns. The Wago app companion is the add-on that you would install to keep things updated if you choose to use a desktop application to get your add-ons. Raider IO, we'll talk about that at a much later video. Has to do with Mythic Plus ranking. Plater, I talked about nameplates as a UI feature in the last video. Plater allows you to customize those nameplates. Also a very good and useful add-on. We won't go through all of these. Another important one for new players is going to be big wigs and little wigs. We saw it on the CurseForge main menu, but boss mods So big wigs and little wigs will have boss and ability timers and timelines to help warn the player when a big ability is coming. So that's one we'll talk about when we get into some dungeons. And then details damage meter. This is going to be tracking how much damage we do. We'll talk about that one as well. Cell is the latest and greatest in terms of like party frames. We'll talk about that when we get into a group. Big Wigs is the raid version of Little Wigs. And then up at the very, very top here, Bartender just allows us to move the bars with a little bit more customization, the action bars. And then Auctionator, better character panel, not too critical, but Auctionator will help with the auction house. We'll talk about that later too. We haven't been there yet. We don't really need to until kind of the end game. So all I'm doing right now is turning on WeakAuras, and we're going to load back into the game, and we're going to see what's in there. So WeakAuras are as an add-on, like I mentioned, extremely customizable. There's so many different things that you can do with your WeakAuras, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. So that is why I definitely recommend that someone utilizes a WeakAura pack from somebody else. So we were logged out in the inn that we flew to last time. So to access WeakAuras, I'm just going to type into the chat WA. You'll also, you grow to know those commands to open the add-ons, but there's also usually mini map buttons. So you can see here up in the top right, WeakAuras showed up as a button for us. And so you can either click that or type WA in the chat, and it's going to open up a menu. And I'm actually surprised and excited. So it seems like under a different username and account, we don't have any of my default WeakAuras in there, which is great. That's going to just allow us to sort of like install one or two at a time as needed. Again, I can walk through an example of installing like a rogue pack and what that looks like, or we can also walk through kind of like building our own. Roll the Bones is a relatively complicated spell because it's random and there's a pool of buffs that it can choose from. So this is a tough one, but basically we'll start with a pack and we'll go with that. So if I wanted to import a pack, what I'll do is I will pull open my browser again, and I'll go to Wago. And what I'm looking for here are WeakAuras. So I'm going to click under the browse section. We have WeakAuras, we have LVY, Mythic Dungeon Tools, Plater Nameplates, Collections, and more. We're looking for a WeakAura. So I'm going to click on the War Within, because that's the expansion that we're playing in. I know we're playing in Dragonflight, but this will be the most current iteration. And then down here, you'll see, you can just search if you want to, but you can also see WeakAuras for specific classes and for their specific specs. You can see WeakAuras for specific raids and for dungeons. And these are all just tags. If you search for something, like we could just search for Roll the Bones and I'm sure we would find it. But let's just start maybe with a demo of installing a pack. So I clicked on the Rogue pack, the Outlaw Rogue spec to get some examples of these different packs. And packs tend to be like the most common. You'll see here the top 3 results are actually Rogue packs. One is from Luxthos. His kind of MO is making WeakAura packs every expansion and every patch. And then there's some other folks that are that have rogue packs here. And then you can actually see the 4th most popular is a Roll the Bones WeakAura pack. So this is what we're going to be using. This is what I use on my regular account. We're going to be downloading this one eventually, but we'll just grab the pack with the least resistance. I thought Luxos used to require additional packs, but it doesn't look like it. So we're just going to grab his for an example. So you find the weak aura that you like. We're going to click on copy import string. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to World of Warcraft. And in the weak aura menu, we're going to click import up at the top. And we're going to just paste. We copied that from Wago. We're going to import. You want to make sure you can trust the person who sent it. We do. We're going to click import, and it's going to start loading this bar. And here you can see on our screen is just a ton of abilities and timelines and stuff like that. Basically, a class-based weak aura pack will have tracking for everything that you'll possibly get, and it will load depending on what you have. So the example here, because we're viewing this individual weak aura pack, it's showing us all of the different things. But when we close out of weak auras, it's actually going to reduce down in terms of the amount of stuff. Now, some of our UI elements are in the way a little bit, so we'll just pop open edit mode. Grab the target and the focus, and we'll just pull our action bars down a little bit, just so you can get a full understanding of what it looks like. Put my XP bar up at the top. I don't really care about my XP bar. Things have been going nice and quick. Move that cast bar. Let's save. So now you can see here right in the middle of my screen, I have some of the buttons here, right? We have the same icons that you'll see. So Adrenaline Rush over here on the far right, Blade Flurry here in the middle, Roll the Bones, Pistol Shot between the eyes, and then down at the bottom, we've got our utility, our kick, our blind, our kidney shot, our feint, our cloak of shadows, evasion, potion, grapple, and sprint. So if I use, and then down at the way bottom, there's this little icon. We'll open up the weak aura again. We're just going to move it up a little bit. So you can adjust things like position and setting to move things up and down on your screen. But down at the way bottom, we have this little poison icon, which is indicating, hey, you don't have any poisons activated, right? So this is how weak auras can be really, really useful to you, because then as soon as I add my poisons to my two weapons, that reminder goes away. And you have like a quick way to look at like, okay, sprint, right? It's activated. I have the buff for 5 seconds remaining, and now it's on cooldown, right? And I have 52 seconds remaining on sprint. Same thing with grappling hook. You can see a little 2 indicator for the amount of stacks or charges that we have. We click one and it starts a cooldown. We still have 1 remaining. We click it again, it gets grayed out, and we can grapple hook again in 25 seconds. So we talked about Roll the Bones, right? So this little part of the weak aura pack down here allows us to track our Roll the Bones buff. So if I hit Roll the Bones, we get Ruthless Precision, and Luxos's weak aura shows us that this is a crit buff, right? Critical strike chance of between the eyes increased 60%. Critical strike chance of all other abilities increased by 15%. And you can see the timer of that, the color sort of slowly fades away on this one. We'll use this weak aura pack just to do a couple of little bit of quests so that you can kind of like see what this looks like. I'm just going to move my bars around a little bit more. And we'll just kind of go out here and start to get to work. And I'll just show you like some of the examples of what that looks like. So last time we played, we were helping Rathion with his Obsidian Citadel, and so we're going to start there. It says to enter the Citadel, so we'll just walk over.
Who are you?
Sibelian, heir of Neltharion. And you are?
Rathian, heir of Neltharion, and I've never heard of you.
Likewise. We'll discuss this later.
Cute. Cutscene to start us off, and then we'll get into some of the combat. The one thing that I personally don't really like about WeakAuras and WeakAura packs is that I'm not I'm not the best at playing this game. I just play this game a lot. Just trying to trigger this. Obsidian Citadel entered. I guess we'll head over to this next quest. Okay, there we go. Just had to walk through the gate, I guess. So now they want us to kill some Kalashi forces. I do see this quest up here, so taking the walls. So I do want to try and grab that so I know what objectives we need. There we go. All right, cool. Occasionally, it's called phasing can impact players.
I have been expecting you.
But I think that's what happened there, but it ended up working out. So they want us to kill some stuff here and assist Raytheon with taking back the walls. So we'll start killing stuff while we keep talking. But one of the things about WeakAuras that I tend to have a little bit of trouble with is I don't remember my keybinds very well. So it always seems a little silly to me that I would have things like WeakAuras up here and then my keybinds down here, and all of a sudden it's taking up a lot of real estate and it's nice and cluttered. So the sooner that you kind of can develop a system that works for you, I think the better and more comfortable that you'll get with it. So whether that's WeakAuras or just leveraging your action bars or creating your own WeakAuras, there's plenty of different options out there. So but you can see the WeakAura is starting to do some things in combat, right? So like, for example, when I'm in combat and I don't have a roll the bones buff, the roll the bones button will glow, or the icon will glow, right? None of these are actual clickable buttons at all. So it provides that additional detail in those reminders, and it keeps it kind of centered on sort of your screen so that it's top of mind. We activated Blade Flurry, so now we can see the duration on the Blade Flurry buff. And, you know, we have different UI elements that are all talking to us about our combo points. So removing duplicate information is also really important. So it looks like I have by default this, like, I have my own health bar, my target, but also under my character, you can see I have this health bar that shows up when I'm playing it also, or when I'm in combat, and it also tracks my combo points. So now I'm tracking combo points here, I'm tracking combo points under my character, and I'm tracking combo points in my WeakAura pack. So I want to go ahead and turn one of those off. So I'm going to go into the options, and I don't remember exactly what this one is called. There's a lot of options. Using the search feature can be helpful. I just typed in health. And so I recognize this one. It is the personal resource display. adds health and resource below your character. So I'm just going to toggle that back off, because now we have this one area where I really want my focus to be. So you can see it shows a stealth icon when we're in stealth. So I'm going in, I'm pressing ambush. Probably should have rolled the bones ahead of time, but we're rolling the bones. We're seeing our energy go back up. We're seeing our combo points. They turn white when they're full. And this time when we rolled the bones, we got 2 buffs. We actually got a crit buff, and then we got an energy regeneration rate buff. So we're really doing a great job here. I activated Adrenaline Rush. That increased our maximum energy. And you can see when we get the buff for pistol shot, that pops up as well. Full combo points, full eviscerate. Roll the bones. We got a damage increase, come out of stealth, full combo points. We hit between the eyes. Between the eyes gives us a buff, 20% increased critical strike chance. So that is being tracked here. We're in stealth. We hit ambush, sinister strike. Oh, this is an elite. Did not realize that. Just like last time. It seems that this NPC has its attention though, so we'll just keep on attacking. Our roll the bones buff. It's back. We get additional combo points. This generates 1 extra combo point. So I'm going to hit between the eyes, and then you can see here 2 combo points, 2 combo points. And I'm just spending them a little bit earlier so I don't overcap with them. And grab our dragon. Go attack a couple more folks. Got 2, so we want to be hitting Blade Flurry. And we got double buff here. We got a damage increase and double combo points, which is great. And we are dying, so we're going to hit evasion, and we're going to drink our potion. And we need to kill this guy pretty quick. There he goes. I'm going to use a combo point on Kidney Shot, just to buy us a little bit of time and finish him off. So while we were doing that, we actually got invited to a guild. When you start out here, we'll talk about guilds at some point specifically. I guess we could talk about them now because we're kind of just plugging along, killing stuff. I'm not going to join this guild because I hate it when guilds just invite you out of the blue. If that happens pretty consistently, there is, if you go into the options and you type in guild, you can block guild invites. But you can also just join a guild. There will be people in there. And guilds are essentially, communities within the game. And they allow players to group up to complete similar goals. So the most common reason for somebody to join a guild when they're playing this game is to raid. So when you go to raid, whether in a variety of difficulties, it requires a certain amount of people, and being in a guild is the way that most people connect and communicate and link up. So you will often join guilds that will raid and raid on a similar day. There are other guild types. There are leveling guilds, and there's not really PvP guilds, but sometimes there are. We're going to assist Raytheon here. He's going to take us up to the walls.
I know not from where you hail, friend, but I cannot fault such a
So my strong recommendation is to, at the end of this, after your leveling scenario, we'll talk about the different endgame activities, and you'll want to find a guild that sort of aligns with those. The game also has what are called communities, which can be helpful for things that aren't guild related, maybe necessarily, but your guild is going to be these are your people, and the game is significantly more fun with friends. I absolutely guarantee it. So the earlier that you find a guild that matches, oops, I hit vanish. I didn't mean to hit vanish. a guild that matches like what you're trying to do in the game and matches your personality, the more fun that you're going to have here. It's an absolute guarantee. It's always more fun to play this game with friends. If you already have friends, join their guilds. They probably got you into the game and they're sort of bringing you along and showing you the ropes and stuff. But their rating is the primary purpose of the guilds. Just allows easier a group channel to communicate and to schedule the raids with. However, there are other types of guilds, new player guilds, guilds that like to help folks. They're everywhere, so there's no harm. You can leave a guild whenever you want. So if you feel like you get an invite and you want to just like see what it's all about, you can feel free to join one. We will join one eventually, I'm sure. But we're going to try and accomplish everything that we can in what is referred to as a pug or a pickup group. So it won't be necessary for what we want to do. Going back to the conversation about, you know, so many things on your screen, right? Like the weak auras are one thing. I had my action bars. I was just getting used to that. You absolutely do not need to install a full weak aura pack to play this game. You can just use the action bars. What most folks will do is they will hide their action bars. So they will, at a certain point, you will really understand the flow of your class and how to play it and play it well. And you won't necessarily need to look at the key bindings. I'm not the best. I forget. I play a lot of different characters. I'm pretty notorious for being what's called an altaholic, which is just like playing a ton of different characters and different classes. So I need to see what the key bindings are. You can actually, in my weak aura pack, I actually put my key bindings on the abilities. Like there's so much customization you can do here. It's really impressive. So we're going to go and try and kill this champion here. Bones, Adrenaline Rush, Sinister Strike between the eyes. We got additional cooldown reduction. He's channeling a spell. We want to kick that. Take him down. There's so much customization that you can do. You can create your own weak auras. You can look at multiple different weak aura packs. You can edit weak auras. And, you know, I'll do a full video on, you know, setting up your own weak auras and how to configure those and how to edit those. So. Hey, we did 100 quests. That's cool. But what I'm going to do for right now, because I want to keep this as simple as possible and add things as we need them. Again, weak aura packs can be very, very good. This Luxos one is great. It shows you all the relevant information. It will update as you get more abilities too. As you continue to get talent points and go down, it'll add those and it'll fluctuate depending on what you have. I just don't like all the clutter here. I want to keep it simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete this weak aura pack. So I just type /WA and I'm going to right click and I'm going to delete the children in the group. But what I did really like was the ability to have the roll the bones buffs sort of simplified for me. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go back to Wago and I'm going to go back to the downloads and I'm going to download this specific Roll the Bones weak aura. So another way that many people play the game is just by keeping the default UI and importing weak auras for what they need. Say they have a specific issue with a specific skill, like I do with Roll the Bones. They can import that and it'll solve that problem there for them. Or say they have a specific issue with with a boss fight or a dungeon, or they really want to focus on Mythic Plus or raiding, you can download specific packs just for that activity. So you can download class packs, and you can download raid packs, dungeon packs, Mythic Plus packs, PvP packs, whatever you need. So there's a whole wide world out there, but I really do want to focus on just getting to max levels. So we're going to stop with the WeakAura talk and just focus in on that. So I went back to Wago, I downloaded the Roll the Bones WeakAura, and it's basically going to tell me, is this buff good? Is this buff bad? If the buff is bad, then I should re-roll as soon as possible. So I'm also going to go back into edit mode, and I'm just going to bring my action bar back up so that those are nice and close, so I can keep an eye on the cooldowns. We also talked about cooldown manager. We can take a look at that when we have some downtime as well. Just gonna hit save there.
It seems our fates are into the Oath Stone must be activated to restore the power of my Dragonflight. Something is wrong here. This cannot be. The stone is cracked?
Father broke his oath, and with that the stone broke as well.
We must repair it.
Well, story time. There we go. We're done here.
The Earth Warder is close. It is possible.
Want to fix the
Aspects
Oath
of
Stone.
have been looting the Citadel. Perhaps they
Enter
have taken
beneath the
fragments.
Citadel. So we're gonna go over
I shall
here.
assist you in the search.
And while we're doing that, I'm just gonna roll the bones so we can kind of see what that WeakAura looks like. So unfortunately, the one problem with this WeakAura is that it doesn't tell you what the buff does. It just tells you if it's good or not. So this one was Skull and Crossbones, Sinister Strike.
And now it seems the Jarden
Has a
are
chance to
pillaging
strike
the
twice.
vaults in hopes of expanding their power.
So we're just going through and picking up some Oath Stone fragments. I wouldn't think that if they were so important, they would just be lying here on the ground, but I guess they are. Sprint, because we got to do a lot of collecting.
What is that?
There's one, just looking for those glowing things on the ground.
Attended for so long. It seems these
Oh, there's a big
vaults have
spider in
fallen
there.
into disarray.
If I were a Jarden, I would not be in such a hurry to open that chamber.
Looks like somebody else is in here. And so one of the things about WeakAuras is that they will, they can also have sound effects. So much like on the Luxos one, for example, we saw that Roll the Bones glowed when it was off cooldown and when I didn't have a buff. For this WeakAura, it actually will play that horn sound when you're in combat and don't have a buff. So I'll go and probably turn that off just because it's not very kind. However, it is effective. So you can see, okay, I need to reroll. I don't have a buff. Here we go. I got a buff. And this WeakAura essentially takes a lot of the brain power out of knowing what you need to do when you're rolling the bones. And I'm sure somebody at like the highest level of the game would maybe have a different WeakAura or just have a better understanding of, of the buffs consistently. And the more you play the class, the better you'll get at it. And you'll know what everything means, what's good and what's not. But in the beginning, the WeakAura can definitely help you with those things. Whoa. Close call there. And sprint. And we're inside now again in like another sort of cave type thing, so we can't use our mount. Otherwise, we'd be using our mount to get in and out here. Just going to quickly edit. You can, so within WeakAuras, there'll be groups. You can quickly see where a group might have a sound by taking a look at the individual WeakAuras. You can see here this little sound icon. That's going to tell me that this specific WeakAura is the one that is associated with the sound. I am going to just change that sound. And I think it's under... I thought it was under actions. I see stop sound. Animations. And conditions. This is far more advanced, and you shouldn't need to do any of this, but I just want to make sure that we're not always playing that blaring loud noise every time. Lots of custom options. Yeesh. The other cool thing about this one is it also will help us with Blade Flurry, and reminding us to also include Blade Flurry here. Okay, so here's the audio settings, which is a shame. It looks like it's picking a specific audio file. So we're just gonna toggle it off. I would rather be able to change it to something like a basic little ping, just as a reminder, but that's gonna be way too complicated. So we're gonna turn that off. We're gonna turn in some quests. We're gonna reforge this O stone. We got another talent point. So over on my second screen, I've got my little WoW head guide up where I'm learning about the different abilities and following that path. Again, you can feel free to just kind of like pick what works for you. I know that this was one that I did want eventually because it reduces the cooldown of evasion when I use a combo point finisher.
Let us begin.
And we've been having to use that a couple times.
Activate the forge. Next, we will require cinder shard coals to fuel the forge.
Careful. I detect that some of the coal has been altered by Jaredin magic.
It's like our taskbar disappeared, which is funny. So we're just gonna toggle that off and see. So now we're in combat, so reroll for roll the bones, gives us broadside.
Excellent. All will be ready soon. Glory to all dragons.
You have all done quite well. Now, let us get that forge working.
There it is.
Need to get closer.
The aspects have returned.
I will be denied no longer. Come, champion. Let us finish the repairs.
Still seem to be missing our cast bar. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you one other little trick, especially useful when dealing with weak auras or with add-ons. Whenever you install a new add-on, it's not just going to show up if you have the game open. However, if you type in the chat /RL or /reload, it's going to just like reload your system. So if you're having trouble with something like not showing up, see like the cast bar wasn't showing up and now it is after we reloaded, it was probably due to installing that weak aura pack, which of course nothing wrong with it, just changed the settings and resulted in a little bit of an error. So
Do you trust
Dr. Raytheon, do a little cutscene.
Sibelian? What is he doing?
And we're going up. Oh, seems like we might be stuck here. We called our dragon and a little bit of lag.
The throne now.
Okay. One of the things that I'm realizing about our UI right now is that it's very... We just dropped me in the middle? Hello? It's a little on the wide side, so we might want to make some changes to that in a little bit. I don't know why he just dropped me there like that. Maybe it was just to get the achievement, but we're going to fly on up here. And another cutscene.
Young Rathian, I owe you my thanks. Your help was invaluable in securing my rightful place on the Obsidian throne.
Oh, I believe you're mistaken. This throne, this legacy, is my birthright.
No. The mistake is yours. I was anointed caretaker of this flight by Neltharion himself. So let me be clear. When all is said and done, I will be the aspect of the Black Dragonflight.
Is that so? May the worthiest dragon win.
Each Dragonflight has their own leader, the aspects, and the Black Dragonflight, the leader was Deathwing, which resulted in the Cataclysm, and so there's a little vacancy on the throne, and has been for years. So turning in that quest, for some reason it wants us to get familiar with the folks that are around here. This isn't really like a quest hub or a focal point anymore because we've moved on. However, whenever you go to like a new area where you might find a reputation, it'll usually say, okay, go talk to these people to know where they are. In this case, we're trying to get some info about Sibelian and Rathian so that we can make an allegiance and try and promote the right one to aspect.
He has worked tirelessly to protect.
Sibelian rallied us on Outland, not only saving us.
It's really up to you. Like most of the time, there's not really a huge impact on what you choose in terms of situations like this, where you're left with,
He is untempered.
you know, aligning yourself with one or two.
I believe he is
In this case, we don't even actually pick our allegiance, I think, until the level cap, so we just get another quest from Sibelian to escort these eggs. So we're gonna fly back over there, link back up with Alexstrasza now that we've reclaimed the Obsidian throne. The Jarden.
I've been too long away. Stay close, champion.
This is what's famously known in World of Warcraft as an escort quest. If you've ever played Classic WoW and you're looking into retail, you have plenty of experience with escort quests. They are a lot better than what they used to be. Escort quests rely on NPCs, non-player characters, to go along like a certain path, and you'll have things that'll kind of pop out and interfere with your final destination. And in Classic WoW, still happens in retail too, but in Classic WoW, the NPCs can like bug out a lot, and it usually takes a long time. So and the basic foundation of an escort quest is you have to like remain close to the thing that you're escorting in order for it to keep moving. If I go too far away, they're gonna stop, just like they did there. And you want to defend it from.
There's no reason they have to do all the dirty work themselves.
Defend it from any attackers.
To the enemy? Absolutely not. Stay in your seat.
I cannot maintain this forever.
This is getting ridiculous. How many random encounters must we suffer before you realize your rule has failed?
Plugging along. I forgot we got some pants. And the general rule of thumb here, there's a couple like distinguishers in terms of like
Champion, to me.
Sorry, in terms of like what piece of loot is good for me. Usually in the very beginning, green piece of gear is like the base like level magic item, and then blue gear tends to be better than green gear. However, as you change over from expansion to expansion, that's always not necessarily going to be true. So one of the indicators to look for is the item level, which you can see here below the blue name is the item level, and that's going to contribute to your average item level, which right now is 34. The item level just basically takes a look at the stats on the item and calculates a level for it. So, you know, we have these blue shoulders, but whoa.
Today, puppets.
That wasn't good.
Is this the leadership you offer our people? Perhaps the others will see reason now.
Whelps these days. Meet me at the life pools proper, champion. This is far from over.
Just because you have a piece of blue gear from, you know, the first couple of quests that we did doesn't necessarily mean that a piece of green gear from the most recent expansion isn't going to have a higher item level. So item level will be your point of truth. There's still some nuance there, but primarily that'll be, you know, what you can use to see if something is overall more powerful. And you can see here, big upgrade, quote unquote, big upgrade for us for our wrists, our bracers. We're going from an item level 12 from the starting zone to item level 84. We're getting a bunch more stats. So these are going to be great. It's going to help us hit a little bit harder.
My return was absolutely crucial.
What is the meaning of this, Sibelian? Where are the eggs?
Yes, why don't you explain how...
We're just going to let that mark you. I'm going to go talk to the egg lady. Hello, egg lady.
Good tidings. I long to see the eggs.
Level 22. We're talking about bringing the Black Dragonflight some eggs. They haven't had those in a long time because of the atrocities that were committed by Deathwing. And actually, I'm sorry, I just realized I had my lore a little bit backwards. There's a lot of black dragons that contribute to the storyline here. The Black Dragonflight didn't have its issues specifically because of Deathwing. I don't even think actually Deathwing was the Black Dragon aspect. But if we actually go back into classic World of Warcraft, Blackwing Lair is the home of Nefarian. I wish I had some lore here. Normally the Dungeon Journal has a little bit of lore about the character, but Nefarian was the original Black Dragon aspect who went mad. What else do we need to do? Sweep fallen leaves, some leaves, and pull overgrown weeds. So because they haven't had any eggs, there have been no new black dragons, but these are black dragon eggs, so we're getting the life pools ready so that they can hatch into a new generation of black dragons.
I will listen. Fair skies and strong winds. At long last, our absent young are once more among us, so that they can be raised together with all the flights. Though these life pools were once bereft of eggs, they now contain our future. Truly, the calling of my flight has been fulfilled.
I will see that these eggs are protected and loved, so that they may hatch into dragons, strong and wise.
Embrace hope.
All right.
Life endures.
You'll often get an achievement at kind of the end of basically like a storyline. So you can see here now when we open our map, we've been to every area, we've explored the entire thing, we worked our way from the starting zone kind of all the way through the map and into and out of the ruby life pools, and we got that achievement. And then this quest, Next Steps, is going to bring us into the next zone. We're going to go through, we're going to meet some new characters, and we're going to start on a bit of a different journey. You might have heard that little ping for a dragon riding glyph. I don't actually think that they do anything. Seems like we just get these as we unlock, so I'm going to probably ignore the dragon riding glyphs. When dragon riding just came out the first time, you would unlock the talent trees in this tree by collecting dragon riding glyphs. So they made you fly all over the place and collect these all over the map, and it doesn't look like you need to do that anymore. So
for the glory of the dragons.
Now, I went through this zone relatively quickly. I know the videos have probably taken like 6 hours now, but there's a lot more to do and explore in the zones. When you're the new sort of like process for leveling through an expansion with a new character, or when a new expansion goes through, is really to have the campaign take you through each of the zones, explore the different areas, meet the different characters, and then throughout the life of the expansion, you'll be going back to these zones and you'll be doing things like world quests and dailies and world activities, group activities, world bosses, there'll be all sorts of things that'll bring you back into these zones. So it might feel like, oh, we went through this zone really quick. I really didn't even actually get to explore it too much. You can go back and you can do all the side quests. There's bonus objectives. There's different things that'll pop up on the map once we reach a certain level. Right now, again, we're just kind of going through the campaign. And typically what happens is whenever the Horde and Alliance end up in a new zone, the different characters kind of get scattered through the different zones, and you'll meet up with them in time to sort of like go through. So we had our first, adventure right off the boat to meet with the folks that guard and protect the ruby life pools. After we saved them and continued along, another character has been already over here in the Onaran Plains being introduced to these centaur folks. So we're going to go into this community, and they start us off by making us prove our worth by defeating this big dragon. So we're going to go up toe to toe. We're going to roll. We're going to activate our adrenaline rush. And it looks like he's a little more interested in this hunter over here than he is with us, so that's good. Gotta earn the respect of the centaurs. We got another weapon. We can talk about weapons here. I think I want to take the axe.
I am not your keeper.
The scout tumble at the outpost. So weapons are pretty interesting, but we also got a trinket. I forgot about that, so we need to equip our first trinket. Our weapon, we're going to put our other axe in our offhand and our helmet. So for melee characters, for those that use martial weapons, weapons are, it's true for every class, weapons have the most stats attributed to them, but melee weapons in particular have the biggest impact on your damage. So you always want to ensure that you're equipping the highest item level weapon that you have. And a general rule of thumb is that the higher item level should go in, if you're a class dual wields, should go in the main hand slot. So this slot right here is the main hand. You can see here, main hand when you don't have anything in it. And the other slot is the offhand weapon. So you typically want your most powerful one in your main hand. If you're a warrior and you have two-handed weapons, you don't really have to worry about that at all. But you can see here, these are folks from the Horde and the Alliance, and they're meeting the Centaur leadership. And we're just going to help. We just like to help.
This outsider arrived in such...
We are preparing for a journey to the Corral.
And we're gaining reputation with a new faction.
Across the plains. There, we will discuss the return of my thanks, Tomu. Come forward out. We received word that an emissary from the Green Dragons will be present at the Corral. You may join us for the
and the Centaur in the Onaran Plains, the Centaur are like pretty nomadic. So what we're going to do is actually accompany them on a hunt. And so we're gathering team members, and we're gathering materials that we're going to need. So we grab some meat, and we're grabbing provisions and whatever these little flowers do to kind of like pack up, and when you do that, you can like hear a little bit about the story and stuff like that. But you can tell this totally different landscape, right? We've got trees, we've got grass, we've got lush landscape. So the last one, like a lot of context clues here, the last zone focused on the red dragonflight and the black dragonflight with the ruby life pools. There's no doubt that you can tell from this one we're probably going to be meeting some green dragons. They even said that in the quest. We're trying to meet some of the leaders of the Green Dragonflight. Like I mentioned, each zone has its own dragonflight that's part of the story. So some more camp provisions. I'm just looking for the little dots on the map. That's where I'm telling knowing which way to go. And you can see here side quests, right? So if you wanted to, if you really like the centaurs and wanted to learn more about their culture, gain some more reputation, do some quests that would provide you with XP and potentially with some items, you're more than welcome to do those side quests. But we're just going to keep chugging along.
What news do you bring, outsider? The winds carried word of interesting times, but the arrival of your people has caused more of a stir than I expected. I look forward
Turn in these
to
quests to
learning
scout
more of
to
your
more.
ways as we travel.
I am not your keeper.
Leveled up.
Finally. The caravan will be waiting at the gates.
Level up, level up,
Do
level
not
up.
hold us up.
Got a couple talent points that I haven't been using. So now, we're kind of in our first like blockade here. We've put in some talent points that have gotten us to the end. So some things that I'm thinking about when I'm trying to allocate the remainder of my talent points, I need 2 talent points allocated in these top areas to allow us to get into the next spot, right? So, over here, some things that I'm thinking of, okay, I've allocated talent points in all but 5, right? So I'll have 2 to spend down here at the bottom before I can unlock this whole section. I'm looking at comparing these to see which one is stronger or relevant for the content that I'm in. And then I'm looking at what these would allow us to get further down, right? So, for example, Float Like a Butterfly is a gateway into Killing Spree or Fatal Flourish or Devious Stratagem, and I'm going to want some of these. And then, of course, Repost is a gateway into these 3, whereas Precision Shot and Blinding Powder are only gateways into these 2. So there is a lot of fluidity across both of these. However, I know that I'm going to want to get Killing Spree pretty quickly, so we're set up for that. I'm also going to want to get Fatal Flourish, so we're set up for that. I'm going to want to get Quick Draw according to my guide, so I know that I am going to want to be taking either Repost or Precision Shot. Precision Shot is between the eyes, and Pistol Shot have 10-yard increased range, and Pistol Shot reduces the target's damage done to you by 5%. That sounds pretty good for leveling, Stamina also sounds pretty good for leveling. Whereas like the energy saving, I don't really need, and I don't really need, reduce cooldown on blind. So I'm going to go ahead and take Precision Shot now, and then I'm going to take Combat Stamina later. And then for my class tree, we picked up blind. I picked up AoE blind, but I don't think I really need that. I'm not doing a whole lot of AoE pulls, so I'm just going to unspec from that and give me 2 talent points to work with. I'm also going to go over here, I think, and I'm going to grab Blackjack. And I'm going to grab Blackjack because I don't need Tricks of the Trade. That's for group content. But what I really want to do is I want to get this Shadow Runner talent because it says while stealth or shadow dance is active, you move 20% faster. So what that's actually going to do for me is it's going to make it so that I'm moving faster when I'm in stealth, which is good. It just allows me to, I'm focused on mobility and I'm focused on
You'll be back
Walk
soon,
with us,
sure.
outsider. We have many stories to share.
getting objectives done as quick as I can. So the faster that I can kill things, the better. This is not an escort quest. It looks like an escort quest, but actually you can see here, if you want to follow the caravan, you can hop on the back of this Bakar or you can walk next to them and you can listen to what they have to say and you'll learn more about the lore. But you can also just jump to the next area. So I'm going to do that because I've heard all the lore and I don't really care about this. I'm kind of just trying to get through in leveling. So I'm going to go up to the next spot. You can see, okay, everybody jumped up here and we're going to stop.
Go on then.
the caravan, and we're going to do some quests that are part of the campaign that involve gathering fresh game meat. So I want to tag things that this guy's attacking. That increased pistol shot range came in handy there. I was able to tag this mob as right before it died, which is great. Apparently I didn't loot everything off of this. And we hit level 22. So one of the things that you'll notice that changed for our little outlaw rogue here is we unlocked dispatch, which we talked about earlier. So dispatch actually replaced eviscerate for us. And again, very similar, very same concept here. That it just deals damage when we cast it at full combo points or at whatever combo points that we're at. And it just has a little bit of a different flavor to it than Eviscerate did. Doing two quests here. One is to get fresh game meat, and one is to hunt down a specific creature. Looks like the mage that was over here has been beat us to the punch here. So we're just gonna wait for it to respawn. If I wanted to be super efficient, I should probably be killing game while I wait for it to respawn, but seems like he's been here for a little bit, so we'll wait with him. And the mage is part of a different faction, which is why they are orange, whereas like characters that are part of our faction will be I think blue. They'll have a blue name. Here he is. This is a frontal ability, so the texture was projected in front of where we were at, so we want to jump out of that. We got the fur. Got the rest of the meat.
Speak up. You'll be back soon, I'm sure.
I won! I won!
No, I am better than you.
And again, same thing here. Campaign or the caravan starts firing back up.
Will be visible once we cross the bridge.
And we'll follow it along. You can learn more about the lore, or you can just go to the final destination. Turn in that quest. There's another little issue or contest, so we need to collect feathers. A warrior there. See, he's part of our faction, so his name is Blue. We got a heart, and our inventory is full. Our little character kept saying, I can't carry anymore. I'm going to hope that there's a vendor in this caravan, but I don't think there is. I should have sold when we were back at town. That's okay. I'm just going to ditch something from way back in the starting zone. You should try and sell stuff, but the stuff from way back in the beginning doesn't really have much value, so I'm just going to pitch it so we can continue. And we're trying to get some feathers. Pluck some feathers. You can see our energy regeneration is pretty low, so it's starting to get a little bit on the boring side of things, but that'll change soon. one more tail feather and a couple more reeds. And we'll move on. I ran out of vigor, so I wasn't able to take off there, but it does accumulate over time. Yeah, it looks like that's the first time we've been in water, so it talks to you a little bit about swimming. We can swim around real quick. You can go underwater in this game, unlike in some of the other MMOs out there. I did mention in the previous video that when you go underwater, you actually do have limited breath. One of the things that I forgot when I did say that was I am undead. So one of the racials of being undead is that you can actually breathe underwater. So we don't have that breath bar, but if you play any other race, you will drown if you stay under the water too long, unless you have a spell or an enchantment to breathe underwater, which do exist. We got 2 mobs, so I turned on evasion there, but wasn't super helpful or needed. We are done with our quest. We'll turn it in.
Onara's breath, lift your spirit. Do your best. Go with Onara's
Looks like we're completing a ritual, so we're going to help with the ritual here.
Let me place these totems for the ritual. Feathers of the waterfowl. Reeds of the river, here to lifeblood of a beast, ready for.
I'm going to turn the music back on, because one of the cool things about going into a different zone or going into a different expansion is that each zone has its own music too, so we'll experience that as it changes over. Now we're done here. Complete. We got some boots. Take a look. They're an upgrade. And this is the last leg of the journey here, so you can hop on again, learn some lore, but this is going to bring us to the main city of the Centaur, which is right up over this hill. And we're going to drop in. We'll complete our quest. Now we get 4 different ones that introduce us to the different clans of the Centaurs. So we're going to accept those. And then, like I mentioned, right, when you go into a new like city or hub, it'll have you do like an introduction. So this is orientation, Marukai. First thing I want to do is I want to sell some stuff. So I'm looking on my mini map for like the inn, which is up here. I'm also looking at the icon for like the flight master. I don't need, you know, the flight paths because I'm on my dragon, but might as well while we're in the neighborhood. And then actually it looks like the inn is down here. And I am going to rebind my Hearthstone again. The campaigns are designed to keep pushing you forward through the zones, so I probably won't ever really need to come back here, but when we're done with this session, depending on what level we are, I might want to come back and rest so that I gain that rested XP. And then I'm going to open up the vendor. So talking about vendoring items, we talked about gray items, how they're all trash, essentially, vendor trash. Those can be identified quickly with these little gold icons in the backpack. There's also a button here that says sell all junk items. So I'm going to click that, and that's going to free up a big portion of my inventory. And then when you're leveling, you really don't need to keep much. You know, you don't want to get rid of your Hearthstone, but it doesn't have a sell price. The gear that you replace, you'll never really be putting back on, so you can feel free to sell those. White gear with white names is also available to sell if you've collected the appearance or gear that you can't use. Another thing about items, when you're looking at like these Field Scouts boots, for example, every item is either soulbound or not soulbound. So a soulbound item is like when you acquire the piece, it can be soulbound, it can be bind on equip, and it can also be warbound. So soulbound just means that it is bound to this character. So the gear, all the gear that we've been getting from quests and the gear that we've been equipping is soulbound. That means that I can't sell this on the auction house. I can't give it to another player. I can't trade it to another character on my account. It is bound to me. So the only two options you have with soulbound gear after you no longer need it are to vendor it or to disenchant it if you're an enchanter. So all the soulbound gear, I'm just going to vendor. We got a pretty good chunk of gold, which is pretty funny. I'm a little surprised. Up to 393, which is not too bad. Now, the other type of item that you'll see here are going to be like crafting reagents. I'm going to vendor this bag because it's pretty small. I'm going to actually 60 health is nothing. I'm going to get rid of this potion. I'm going to take it off. You can see here we have 2,000 health. So crafting reagents, these are all things that we've looted off of mobs that we've killed. So you can see here we've got some cloth. We have wilder cloth and tattered wilder cloth. And it's got this little blue portion in the item description that says Dragon Isles crafting reagent. So you know that this is an item for crafting. Crafting items do tend to have a little bit more value, but some of them that are extremely common, like these meats, are probably worth about the same to the vendor as they are on the auction house. There are some items too that they're not vendor trash, they're not gray, like this woolly mountain pelt. It's not necessarily part of a crafting item because it doesn't have that crafting allocation, but it can be used in some other way that might make it not worth vendoring. So in Dragonflight, for example, the renowned tracks all unlocked these like transmog items like hats and cloaks and different things. And you could use some of the worldly items like the woolly mammoth skin to trade those in. So this person isn't active for me, but this person is a renowned armor smith. And when you unlock the renowned armor, you can come to this vendor, exchange resources and sometimes certain reagents to get transmog. So to get like gear, hats, shields, cloaks, whatever, appearances. I don't need that. I'm not super concerned with that. So I'm just going to vendor this. And I know that the meat isn't worth much, so I'm going to vendor the meat too. I'm going to save the cloth just in case. I mean, it's worth 5 gold if I sell it to the vendor, but when we go to the auction house, we can kind of talk about that. And sometimes there's going to be niche things that will still sell on the auction house from previous expansions because people like to collect, and they might be looking for a specific tailoring transmog or something. So people do buy, you know, some of those old materials. It's probably not worth it, but they want to prove us by fighting, so we're gonna fight them. It's funny, I actually, after removing that WeakAura, I kind of want my personal resource display back.
We must cleanse ourselves of any weakness,
so that I can see my combo points right next to my character. But that's okay.
Let the storm envelop you, wind sage.
Why have you come?
Is that it? We fight everybody? Looks like we killed a couple. Sorry about that. We're gonna go over to this guy. Oh, this is just the quest turn in when we're all done here. So
finally,
look on the map. We got a couple more. Go up here.
Are you good? Get some rest. Honor the mother. two young Shikar delivered some game from your travels.
This is a different
Bring it
quest
here.
type too. Sometimes they'll have you help like prepare something like a potion in a cauldron or a meal or a brew. Sometimes they'll have you like make tea or beer or mead. And usually what you'll end up doing here is like they'll send you out to collect little things from the area and contribute to the recipe. She wants more spice, not enough spice. I'm also going to make a couple moves here, bring this extra ability back over.
It tastes better.
More
but
spice.
I can still feel my tongue. Bring over the biggest container of spice.
What is this, Dune?
Well done. Now that's enough spice to bring Maruk and Tira to the fire. You have the honor of charring the roast. Do not remove it from the fire until it is past blackened.
It's a little funny to be an undead cooking some food because
it will be
they
easily
eat corpses.
carried to our ancestors on the wind.
But maybe oatmeal was a cook back in his day. Who knows? Oh, that is black. Holy Christmas.
My family greets your family. Goodbye.
So this is a unique reward that we received from this one. So it's a cooking recipe. It's specific to Dragon Isle cooking. But it's a good example of like what you can make. This is a pretty like primitive buff, but you can learn it at level 60 and with 25 Dragon Isle cooking. And if you create this using 4 maybe meat and 4 mighty mammoth ribs, it will restore health over time. And then while you're eating, if you spend at least 10 seconds eating, you'll become well fed and gain 1 stamina and 1 intellect for 1 hour. So the buffs at the very far end are much better than this one. This is basically useless to us, so we'll probably just sell it. But
my hearth awaits you.
They also want us to meet the Keeper of the Renown, and this is a good example of what I was talking about earlier. We're going to turn in this orientation quest, but as you level up this renown, you'll unlock more and more things, and the quartermasters are a good example of like some of the things that you can get. So you can get warband transferable reputation tokens. If you use 50 Dragon Isle supplies and you have 1 occasional sand, you can get this small item that places the caster in a state of heightened awareness, granting the ability to see spiritual elements. Or, you know, this toy that is a cooking pot with 2 Ceravite ore and 100 Dragon Isle resources. So those, you know, that woolly mammoth skin can be used in some of these conversions to get different items. So you can see there's a ton here. And all of this stuff with the pink arrows, these are all like transmog appearances. And a lot of them are the same, just in different color tints. You can preview what something looks like by holding down the control key and then clicking on the item. It'll cause this little magnifying glass to show up. And in this window here, it'll show you what, you know, these banners look like when they're on your back. Or what these shoulders look like. And you can see here, you know, they're basically the same. They just have a little bit of a color change. But renown vendors, reputation vendors, they can have all sorts of stuff on them. They can have recipes. They can have transmog. They can have toys, and then also mounts as well. Although, because dragon riding was the big thing this expansion, the reputation vendors didn't really have mounts. They had the customization, the manuscripts.
Go with Onara's blessing.
We're looking for some incense. So we gathered 1 sweet suckle, and then it says grind 5 blooms into incense. So we need 4 more. There's one. I don't see any. There's one over there. There are no little icons or dots on here at all, so There's one down there, and there's another one down there. The only downside with dragon riding, in my opinion, is when you're in these like low areas, you're traveling short distances, it can be a little jarring when you like run into a tree or whatever. We're gonna grind that down. Quest. But once you get above the tree line, it's a lot better. For sure. We're in the incense.
May Onara's breath lift your spirit.
A message from Sansa.
Leveled up. 24.
The storm overwhelmed.
So we need one more thing until we go into our next gate, which is exciting. We got evasion, we got cheat death. So I'm looking at this one and I'm thinking about energy cost of faint crimson vow reduced by 10. It is what it says in the guide, but it's also useful for leveling. So we'll click apply. And now you can see, okay, we unlocked our second gate. It's going to be the next like 3 rows. And in order to unlock the final gate, the capstone, we need to spend 12 more points. And we can do that in 2 ways. We can use those 12 in the new gate, but we can also go back and pick up any other ones that we deem are important. So the perfect talent build is really going to be a blend of like, how do I efficiently use my total amount of talent points to achieve the goal, which is either do the most damage or be the most survivable or be provide utility or provide the most healing. So oh gosh, I forgot. This is another type of quest where they will quiz you on what you just learned, and because I was talking, I wasn't learning anything. So she's going to ask me questions like which clan upholds your ancestors' traditions and guides the Maruk through their ways. I'm going to assume we did cooking, we did fighting, and we did something with incense. And then we also met the clan that brought us here. So I'm going to say traditions were the incense ones. So I'm just taking a look at my chat log. You can also look this up, or you can pay attention to the quests. I'm just going to take a guess with Onir.
Correct.
Not correct. I'm going to take another guess. I know Shakar are the fighters. Were they not good? Let's try Tirai. Okay, Tirai. Which clan is made up of Centaur from across the plains who has spawned a special connection to our god, the Onir, the Onara. Newest rise to power, military force, I'm pretty sure is Shakar. Nope, it's not good. And then Shakar is hunting game. Whoops. So here, all of our gear that we've been getting has just been forced on us. Here we have our first choice, and it's actually between 4 different necklaces that have different stats. So one is haste first, critical strike versatility, haste mastery, and crit mastery. So I know that with Outlaw Rogue, based on the guide that I read, haste first is good. So I'm going to pick up that one. And we got lucky. Occasionally with quest items, you can actually roll an upgrade. And every time that you get a quest item, there's just a chance that a green one will go to blue, and or even a double proc to go to purple. So we actually got our first epic piece of loot. It's not like it is in, well, it is and it isn't like it is in classic WoW. You know, there's really nothing too special about this piece of loot. It just has increased stats. You can see our old necklace has about half the stats that this one does. So this will be a good upgrade for us. But aside from the color, like there is still a chance that this gets replaced by a blue piece of gear further down the line. Like the end game gear is going to be much, much different when we get into the next zone and when we
forces are small in number.
When we get into the next expansion. So while we were talking to the Centaur and meeting everybody, we got invited to meet with the Green Dragon Emissary. So we're gonna prep for that.
Without forces to defend our charge from primalist attacks.
The Maruk, too, have been plagued by these primalists. If Onora wills it, I will blow the horn of Dressar on the morrow to signal our accord with the Green Dragonflight.
Marithra, daughter of Ysera, is grateful for your...
Grateful? Ha! Dragons only respect dragons. No Maruk blood will be spilled for them.
You are not the Kanematra, Balakar.
A true leader would never surrender this land to outsiders. You desecrate the memory of Maruk Thousand Bones, Serist.
Stand down.
No. These plains belong to the Maruk. And Marukai belongs to the Nakud!
Have you eaten? See you soon.
Have you eaten? So a little rebellion, little internal conflict here between the Centaur clans, which is common in this game. It's called Warcraft. And you can see the Primalist forces were kind of behind that, so betrayal is always close by when it comes to this. So we're just gonna attack. And again, you know, my focus when it comes to questing is really head to the one thing or a couple things that you really need to do, especially if that NPC is up and active and available to be killed or interacted with or whatever it might be, and then go and start taking care of, like, kill 10 of these or whatever it might be. And you can see that mage is kind of like behind me and was throwing you know, frost bolts and ice lances at the mobs that we were, so we killed them like super quickly. But grappling hook and sprint really paying off heavily here, getting us to where we need to go as quick as we can. Here we go. Reroll. Decent. And last one. Killed 10. Turn this in.
You are welcome at my fire. Your presence is a favorable omen. Well met.
Clan Nokud has made their choice. They betray the Maruk for power.
The storm crests.
So this is a good example, right? We just equipped a blue helmet not too long ago. Item level is 95, and here we are just a couple quests later and a couple levels higher, level 24, and the gear that we're getting is updated. So this is item level 101. It's a green piece of gear, but it has 8 haste and 9 mastery, 9 agility, 13 stamina. So if we equip this, we would get more haste and mastery, and instead of crit and verse, but we would also get 1 more agility. So the colors don't mean much until we get sort of to the end game.
What will you ask of the Kanematra? On, make haste. We must rally our forces and find Onara before Balakar can bring his army to bear.
I think one of the things that's a little unique about the Dragonflight expansion too, which is kind of where you're going to start off with, which isn't always true in all the other expansions, is like they really wanted you to dragon ride. So you can see, like, okay, you know, we just did like 4 or 5 quests over here in Marukai, and then it's like, okay, get the hell over here And I think they really wanted you to like fly and experience the vastness of some of the zones and get used to the flying mechanics. So don't worry, like I said, you'll eventually explore like every part of a map in the current expansion that you're in, either by doing side quests or just by doing world quests. You know, they'll world quests are essentially little icons that pop up on the map and bring your attention to specific areas for specific rewards. So there are reasons to go back. It could be gear, it could be gold, it could be reputation.
Greetings. Well, with the wind.
So another one just wants us to talk to some different characters as part of the campaign, get a little feeling of the lore.
This is sacred land.
We're trying to rally up some troops here. I just used my second wind ability to give me enough vigor to take off on my dragon.
You returned. Have you relayed my orders? See, I should warn you. Boku has a bit of
Another good example.
problem.
Item level 89 pants. Now we have item level 101 green pants. I'm just going to equip those. Find Boku and Terekai, so we're just gonna go find one more person. It's up here.
Onara, where is your song? Go where the wind takes. Place the totems, while I try again to commune with Onara. Onara, heed me! Your people need you!
They're trying to contact their god, but their god is not listening.
I am just a lowly initiate. I need your guidance. I hear nothing. Meet me outside Terekai when you are ready. I will guide you to Ridgewater Retreat.
What's going on here? You're supposed to meet him here, and their stuff was on the ground. There's that mage. Oh, now we're being attacked. Now what you saw there was one of the really cool parts about being an outlaw rogue. Every so often, you will get lucky with your roll the bones, and you'll actually get every single buff. So here up in the top, you can see for 14 seconds, I have Grand Melee, Ruthless Precision, Buried Treasure, Broadside, and True Bearing. So I'm getting all of the buffs at the same time, and it makes your combat definitely a little bit more potent. You've got that increased crit strike chance, you're getting double combo points, you got increased energy regeneration. So you're getting all these things at once.
And the Kanamatra needs her help.
And we'll explore more in the talent points, but eventually you will be able to kind of like unlock talents that will increase the frequency at which you get that. You'll have what's called the tier set. You'll have these pieces of armor that allow you to trigger that more efficiently. And then down at the very bottom, one of the capstones is a talent called Keep It Rolling, which increases the remaining duration of your active roll the bones combat enhancements by 30 seconds. So if you got the awesome roll with all of the different, wow, there's a lot of people here. With all of the different combat enhancements, you could extend that for an increased duration and keep it rolling. We also hit 25, which means we got a new talent point, so we'll be spending that for sure. It's like the one that we want to kill is already dead, so we'll keep doing our quest. This person has a bird next to them. Couple birds. Okay, Blade Flurry seems to be having a mind of its own. Maybe this guy got a little too close. They're all waiting for this one to spawn, so maybe I'll join them because the kill will be quick. There it is. When you're in a group setting like this, it's always good to try and get everybody to tag it if they can. So hopefully the hunter did. Doesn't look like they were, but I like to just attack a little bit slower. It's probably silly, but whatever. Do unto others. Decent. It's decent. You want to spend that talent point, that's for sure. So we're going to get that stamina. That unlocks the rest of the tree here. So we'll be getting Killing Spree next, which will be fun. The talent trees, circles are just like essentially passives, and then squares are new abilities. So new abilities for Outlaw Rogue are going to be Killing Spree, and then Blade Rush, Keep It Rolling. You're not always going to acquire these, you know. On the class tree, there's Cold Blood and there's Thistletea, but you might acquire some of them. We were just attacking multiple targets, so I activated Evasion. I see a rare up on the map, or a notable, so we're gonna go kill Evil Master in case he has some loot for us. He was casting aim shot, so I hit him with a little kidney shot because it looked like it was going to be some pretty big damage. It had a little icon around me that made me feel scared. You know, we talked about ooh, what do we get? Get a manuscript, some wilder cloth. We talked about kicking abilities. So you know, when a mob casts a spell on you, you can kick some of them. You can't kick all of them. That character was a little bit different. It was like a marksman type character. So what he was doing, he was casting shoot, but you'll see unlike a magical spell cast, it was gray instead of yellow. When it's gray and it's not yellow, that means it can't be kicked. However, it can be interrupted in other ways. Like for example, a stun. If the mob can be affected by a stun, it will stop whatever it's doing for the duration of that stun. Or blind. Blind isn't a kick, it is a crowd control ability that causes the target to wander disoriented. And that would have also worked in that situation. And this is, you know, way down the line when we're doing dungeons and Mythic Plus, but knowing the intricacies of those is something that will just grow over time. You'll get more used to it. And you can see here, it's really quick when it comes to questing when you've got other people around kind of doing the same thing. So if you're on a sort of quest chain that somebody else is doing, you might see some familiar faces, and you just want to do your best to tag the mobs, and you don't have to worry about like inviting them to a group like we did with the first guy in the first zone. Just making sure you deal damage in some capacity will ensure that you get credit, just like we did there. We shot it, we got credit. So looking for these spots on the map that have these wagons that we need to destroy. And then we're killing things that are nearby. So bloodletting, that was a good example of a bar, an ability that was being cast, but it wasn't a magic spell. So we'll try and see here. We'll hit it with a stun. You can see it says interrupted. And I think what we're going to do here, maybe when we hit level 26, is we'll end our day with a dungeon, maybe? Because we haven't done one yet, and in my opinion, they're one of the more fun pieces of content in the game. They're also really good for leveling, too. So it's a good way to get XP. It's a good way to, like, break up the grinds. And it's also a hurdle that a lot of new players, I think, will come across as like, well, a dungeon, that means that I'm playing with people. Not just people like Gormtusk over here. People. In a group setting. And it's not that bad, I promise you. Oh, I didn't see there's another guy there. I'm looking for the last cart. Seems to be over here. Now we need one more essence, one more initiate. One of the key controls that I didn't actually talk about, and we'll talk about it now, definitely should have brought that up in the starter. I want to kill this guy for sure. Is the tab button. So you probably already know this if you're interested in MMOs at all, but WoW is what's considered a tab targeting MMO. You know, some MMOs will, when you press a button, ooh, I'm being imprisoned. You can see here blind also works as a way to interrupt ability casts and stuff like that, but some MMOs are not tab targeting MMOs, so you know when you press your ability, it will it'll just attack, you know, in a certain way or attack the closest enemy. With World of Warcraft, that will happen when you first push your button, but you can push tab on your keyboard and it will cycle through your available targets. We hit level 26.
Follow me.
We're just gonna finish up like this little situation that we're in here because it feels rude to kind of leave them. So we need to
keep the guards busy.
Protect him from enemies while he channels his ritual. Very similar to the escort quests, but a little bit different. You'll have an NPC. It's hard to actually see him. He's over here. And he'll be like channeling his ability or doing something to try and help or save the world. And you want to protect him from any of the monsters nearby. And occasionally monsters will come out of the woodwork, like that Stormsmith that just ran away for some reason. But most of the time they'll actually be going after him or after trying to prevent whatever's happening. So the bar filled up, so he's almost done here. We got a cutscene.
Halt! Get away from... Do not...
Is this what passes for a mystic of the Maruk?
Oh, Nara! I am sorry.
Pathetic.
Awaken.
You were awake. I am glad to see you are okay. Bless you. Stay safe.
So we've got Renown level 2. The next quest rewards a trinket, which would be great. So they want us to report on what happened here, the initiate. We looted a trinket earlier, but we can definitely talk about trinkets because they're kind of a unique piece of gear. You know, we have armor, we have weapons, and then we have rings, jewelry, necklaces, stuff like that. And for the most part, although I think more frequently, we've started to see more and more
Welcome back to Morokai.
gear with special effects, like weapons that have special effects instead of just stats like these do. Trinkets always typically have some sort of effect or interaction. In effect, could be just increasing your stats, right? It could be like your abilities have a chance to increase your haste by a substantial amount. But they can sometimes have specific effects. Like in the most recent raid, for example, there's a trinket that will allow you to cheat death by a trinket that will allow you to activate a big defensive by equipping a bomb suit. So like they can be really cool. They can have a lot of flavor. So this trinket that we first got, Life Gift Ruby, gives us 11 versatility, heals you for 63 health whenever you kill a target that yields experience or honor. So this is great for leveling because it keeps our health topped off, although 63 health is pretty low. We've already gained 1,000 health since the last time we looked at that. And then this trinket here adds crit strike, and your damaging attacks and abilities have a chance for Onara to bless you with her winds, increasing your haste by 17%. So that's great.
We should be
equip
wary.
that.
This might be a diversion.
Enough to overwhelm the village at the base of the hill, but far from all their forces.
What of Koroleth? Have you seen her? Or Onara?
No, not yet. We are still looking for them.
We must assume the Nokud want to destroy the Horn, to prevent us from calling the Green Dragons. Sansok is correct. This may be a diversion. We cannot commit all of our forces.
Okay.
It is to defend our most sacred artifact.
They want us to talk. I
I will take
understand.
the Khan's guard and confront Balakar myself. Tummel, outsider, you will come with me.
We're trying to help the Green Dragonflight. They kind of hang out over here, but there's so much infighting, and the Primalists are causing that. So we need to really kind of get the troops together here so that we can help the Green Dragonflight restore their O Stone, just like we did for the Black Dragonflight.
May your Addons guard.
All these Oath Stones are in like disrepair because of the events that happened throughout World of Warcraft prior to this,
This is nowhere near the full forces of
which resulted in the Dragonflights surrendering their aspect powers, which have now been restored.
The daughters of Tira smile on you.
And sometimes quests are just like this, like instead of like kill 10, collect 5, they just want you to fill up a bar. So in the top right, the bar says retake the village from the Nokud. Every time we bandage, we get 5-10%. Every time we kill a Primalist or an Evil Centaur, we'll increase this bar. Which just makes it a little bit nicer, right? You don't always have to be a slaughter factory. Lamb. Although this undead rogue is definitely a slaughter factory for sure. Level 26. I'm pretty sure we got a talent point we haven't spent. Looks like it's in the class tree. And sprint increases movement speed by an additional 30% and has an increased duration of 4 seconds. I love that. We're trying to get around fast. Movement speed increased by 15%. I love that. We're trying to get around fast. Increases healing received from Crimson Vial, healing potions, and Hellstones by 25%. Reduces the duration of movement impairing effects. Leech increased 2% when stealth. We'll talk about Leech in a second. And then the energy cost of your utility stuff reduced by 20%. So we're going to go, I'm looking at the guide, and so I know that I really want to go for acrobatic strikes and for, oh, has this not been updated? Improved ambush. So ambush would generate an additional combo point. So that'll be good for our openers. We'll actually get 3 combo points instead of just 2. So we're going to go for Featherfoot, and we're going to quickly path down to these that are going to help us kill mobs faster. And the sprint is going to help us move around quicker. We're also going to be getting fleet-footed pretty quick, which is just going to be another, in total, just between our 2 talent points, a 30% increase in movement speed, which is going to be great for what we're doing.
Saved who we can. We must get through Balakar's
Nope, we're done here. So we want to go up. It looks like, shoot, we missed it. These guys were fighting. They killed it. I should have been moving instead of yapping. So we'll just yap while we're waiting for it to come back because we need it to go on to the next one. I'm just taking a look at our spell book, seeing if anything's missing. One of the things that you'll see is like, oh, some of these abilities glow up. These abilities will glow if they're not on your toolbar, your action bar. But the reason that those abilities are glowing is because I'm in stealth. So I do actually have dispatch on my bar, so I don't know why it's still showing there, but we'll just drag it down to make sure. Maybe because we didn't perform the act of dragging it and it was actually placed on our bar. I'm not sure. Slice and dice we don't need. We get that automatically through cut through the chase. So when we spend our finisher, we get 3 seconds of slice and dice per combo point, so it's just automatically up. And I'm being attacked because I was in a spell book. I'm just going to take care of the weaker enemies, and then we'll go into the stronger enemy. And it's a stronger enemy, so we're using our cooldown, our adrenaline rush. And when we spend our combo points, thanks to our passive, it reduces our cooldowns, so it's this nice little feedback loop.
It is Onara.
Wait, that's who we were trying to save.
Come back in one piece.
Oh boy.
Almost there. Now!
Mother!
Uh-oh.
Let the winds carry us onward. The Emerald Gardens will fall!
These primalists are up to no good.
You are welcome at my fire.
So they lured out the Green Dragonflight, took one down. We're gonna go and see what's up.
The horn of Dressel? It was loud enough to wake the dead.
Oh, they killed him.
Anymore.
Marithra, we mean you no harm. The death of your brethren saddens our hearts as much as the death of our own kind. Balakar did this. Balakar and his clan, the Nokud. They have shown their weakness and their cowardice by working with the Primalists. We hoped to resolve our civil war, but now I see there is only one path forward. We must vanquish them. 3 clans stand with you, Daughter of the Dream. Tirai, Shikar, Onir. We must join you to repel the warmongers from our land.
I accept your offer to stand with us, Kanamatra. My king's sacrifice will not be forgotten. We fight together.
Your presence is a favorable omen.
So what we're gonna do
Hello, champion.
is we're gonna try and queue up for a dungeon.
Find anything interesting?
While we're kind of going through the rest of this campaign, because I think it's going to give us a level or two. So I just pushed I on the keyboard, but you can click this little I for group finder down in the menu in the bottom right as well. And this is a way that you can find players to group up with and go through dungeons. And raid finder you'll unlock at a higher level cap. Pre-made groups become available at level 50. This is also where you can find player versus player. So if you did want to fight some people, some real people, you can do quick match. There's 3 options available: random battlegrounds, random epic battlegrounds, and arena skirmish. I don't like doing PvP, so we're not going to do PvP. But you can see rewards here too, so you just get some goods or some XP if you win. What we're going to actually do is take a look at the different dungeon stuff that's available to us. So by default, when you click into the dungeon finder, it's going to set you up for a random dungeon in the expansion that you're in. Now, there are many different types of dungeons, and we'll talk about those now since we're like flying over here. Random dungeon is just going to be a random dungeon from this Dragonflight expansion. You can see here there are also random heroics and then random dungeons for different expansions. So the War Within is the expansion that we're in now. If I purchase that, this would be available to us if we were the appropriate level bracket. You can also, you get benefits from doing a random dungeon. So because it's a random, I will get an additional 21,000 experience, which is pretty big. You can see our level level up requirement is 30,000 experience, and you're going to be getting experience from within the dungeon itself and any quests that are associated with it. So random dungeons are kind of the way to go, in my opinion, because you get this bonus experience. And you get a little bit of gold too. There are other types of dungeons. So what this is going to do is if I click this button, which I'm actually going to do because I think the queue is going to take us a little while, it's going to pick a random dungeon. It's going to pair us with random players. It's going to have 3 DPS, 1 healer, and 1 tank. The other types of dungeons, you've got random dungeons, which have these bonuses, but you can also pick specific dungeons. So you could pick these 4 specific dungeons that are available to us. The level range goes all the way up to 70. We didn't see any really. We kind of did in the previous zone, but each zone tends to have its own dungeon. You can tell where a dungeon location is by this green little portal on the map. So the Onaran Plains have the Naka Defensive Dungeon. The Waking Shore has the Ruby Life Pools Dungeon. The Azure Span has the Azure Vault Dungeon and the Brackenhide Hollow Dungeon. And then Thaldraszus has a couple: Algathar Academy, Dawn of the Infinite, and Halls of Infusion. The green icon that you can see here, this is an indicator of a raid. So you can right click on these icons to open up the adventure journal, and you'll learn more about the dungeon itself and the bosses. But the best way to learn, in my opinion, is through experience. So our random dungeon pool is going to be from these specific dungeons. You can switch over to specific dungeons. If you do that, you lose the ability you lose the extra experience, but you gain the ability to target specific items or specific things that drop from specific dungeons. The other option is what are follower dungeons. So follower dungeons are new, and you basically complete it solo, but with NPC team members. So this is great if you're like nervous or you're anxious about being paired up with other players. It's your first time, you've never done a dungeon before. The follower dungeon will allow you to give control to the tank in that group, in the NPC tank, to like guide you through, or you can guide them through if you want. The experience, obviously you don't get that bonus experience that you do get with a random dungeon. However, you do get to experience the dungeon without any sort of like
Tell me of your dreams.
social concept at all. Just turning in a quest, and then it starts the next leg of our campaign, and we get a mount from this quest, which is cool. So originally we got the mount from the from the Waking Shores. It was this red dragon, and if we complete this quest, we will get a Windborn Velocidrake. Mounts, just like armor pieces, you can control and left click, and it'll show you an example of what that looks like. This guy is wild looking, so I'm excited to get him.
With this blessing, my people will
so we clicked under random dungeon Dragonflight, we clicked join queue, and that started this little, you are currently queued for an activity. If you mouse over it, it's going to show you average wait time and how long you've been in the queue. So average wait time for a random Dragonflight dungeon is going to be 12 minutes. I mentioned when we were spinning the wheel, choosing what class to start with, I was a little disappointed that we picked Rogue, because there are many different ways. Well, that was quick. There are many different ways that you can level up. And one of them is just by doing dungeons. So if you just do dungeons, you'll as a tank or as a healer, those are more in demand than the three damage dealers. So you can just run dungeons over and over and over and over. We're just going to pop open edit mode. So we're in a dungeon now, and I want to move the party, which I can't. Okay, there we go. Because that did move over, and they just kind of like got right into it. So here you can see we're in a specific zone. It teleported us right to it. My group is kind of just like going to town. They jumped right in. From our party menu, you can see these icons here. The little sword means that we're a damage dealer. The little shield is a tank. They're often marked with a little symbol above them. That's usually put there by a player, by an add-on. It's not always there, but the tank is essentially the person who runs in and gets the attention of the group, of the mobs that we're attacking, and will be taking most of the damage. That damage will be healed off or mitigated by the tank, but then also the healer in the group is who keeps us alive, right? So the healer's role, this druid here, he's here to keep us up and keep us healthy and keep us topped off. And then the three damage dealers, myself and these two folks, the Shadow Priest and the Hunter, are here to do damage and kill the mobs. So,
where have you come from?
Hey buddy, where's he going? Come back.
Now Thalris belongs to the Kalashi now.
And so dungeons, essentially, very, very simple, very straightforward. It's a form of instanced content. So if we were walking here instead of using the queue, you would normally, go into the dungeon through a portal. It's just us five in here, along with the mobs themselves. You can see they're all elites, so they're giving us pretty decent experience. We're getting about 200 experience per kill. I was about to grappling hook over there, but I saw this frontal, so I didn't want to do that. And we're basically doing what we were doing outside. We're just going through, we're killing stuff. And the tank is tanking and leading the way. And so one of the good things, you know, it's not great for leveling speed, but one of the good things about being a damage dealer is that I'm just following along and I'm trying to kill. And if I'm seeing stuff that, you know, is being cast, like mending clay, I want to be kicking it. I want to be trying to, you know, stop this channel, maybe with a stun. That's just going to prevent damage and kind of allow us to go through a little bit quicker. There's many nuances to dungeons, like that mobs and enemies do different things that you'll just kind of like grow accustomed to over time. And you'll learn more as you explore the game, and you'll learn more as you watch this video series with me, because we'll keep leveling it up a little bit more in terms of our gameplay and taking on different challenges and learning about different things. Because we're leveling, these are leveling dungeons, so they're not going to be what everybody's doing sort of like at the end of the game. We're starting our first boss fight. So this guy, Chargath, you can see here's a frontal. We don't want to be standing in that. That looks dangerous. We're definitely going to pop our cooldown, our adrenaline rush, right? We're going to reroll our roll of bones. It's single target, so we don't need blade flurry right now. So we're just pushing our buttons. And we're targeted with grounding spear. So grounding spear will hit us, and what should be happening here is that the tank is going to run the boss through. I don't think he knows that because he's a new player, and the boss was about to die anyways, so it wasn't really a huge priority. But you'll usually see like a pop-up that'll come up on the screen that might like tell you what to do as an indicator. Sometimes they're not there, and that's when WeakAuras really come into play. They kind of tell you, hey, this is what you should be doing. But in these leveling dungeons, the stakes are so low, it really, really doesn't matter too much. You just want to kind of be doing damage, looking for those opportunities to kick, or to stun, or to have an impact. And you can see here, you know, the situation's a little bit different. So we talked about talent points and how, you know, you want to be allocating your talent points based off of what's important for the content that you're doing. In the overworld, things like movement speed and health and not taking a lot of damage will keep you questing longer and faster. However, in a dungeon, we have a healer, right? So things like my Crimson Vial restoring more health might not be as useful as something like AoE Blind that was allowing us to impact multiple enemies with our blind spell. Right here in this group content where we're pulling multiple things at once, AoE Blind would be a little bit more helpful than, you know, some of the other talents. So we're just going along. This guy's asleep, so we can't actually walk by him. We'll see. If you get too close, though. There he goes. And so we're plugging along here. Going up the stairs. And it does seem like the tank has done this dungeon before, so he does know where to go. If you started off just by tanking, good luck to you. I might recommend maybe trying DPS first or a healer first, just so you can follow along. The tank does kind of have to be like the leader, sort of the group, at least in the beginning. Doesn't mean not to do it. If you are a tank and you don't know where to go, just open up your map and it's going to show you, this is me, this is my party, and this is a boss. I want to head towards the boss, so we're going to go around this corner over here to the right. This is a bit of a bigger pull, so we're looking for our blade flurry to come up here. This is that little eye indicator that I mentioned a couple videos ago about stealth, so that guy could see through stealth. So I don't want to just approach. This is our first spread ability. Spread abilities are usually, they'll be indicated by like circles, and you don't want to overlap them because they'll cause unnecessary damage. Kind of glad we haven't installed DPS meters or damage meters yet, because I don't think I'm doing a whole lot of damage. My toolkit is a little bit limited. One of the unique challenges, could be a fun challenge, with leveling dungeons, is that you are your group doesn't have a lot of skills. So the healer doesn't have a lot of heals, the tank doesn't have a lot of damage prevention abilities, the DPS don't have their full fluid toolkit yet, but looks like we just leveled up 27, which is great. I'm taking a look in the bottom left at my chat log and just seeing, did we get any new abilities or anything like that, and it says no, we just got a talent point. So somehow we pulled the boss, it looks like, so maybe. Yep, we definitely did. So, and he seems to be targeting the healer, so hopefully the tank will get in here. Looks like he's pulling the rest of the mobs over there. He wanted to walk around, so I'm gonna click Cloak of Shadows to prevent any fire damage, and we might wipe here. Somehow everything got pulled. We're definitely going down. So that was a fun example. This is a good example of a wipe. So when you die and you pulled a boss, you can't release until the boss resets. This is where you would use like a battle res. So not exactly sure who pulled the boss, but one of the downsides that a lot of people often, oh, I missed this quest. We're going to pick up this quest. One of the downsides that people often mention about grouping up in retail World of Warcraft is like, well, nobody talks, and yeah, that's a shame, but people do talk if you talk, but and that's besides the point. We'll talk about that later. But one of the issues that people have from an anxiety perspective is like, oh, I don't want something to go wrong or something for me to screw up. Well, if nobody's talking, then it's not really that big of a deal, so we don't have to worry about it. In this case, the Shadow Priest just said ... and we're running back. We're on our way. And you can't release until until the boss resets, everybody dies. The druid would have access to a battle res, so would the paladin, our tank, but you know, they might not even be of high enough level yet. Looks like level 22 for the most part for these folks. What you typically want to do is try and like clear out an area if the area isn't already clear of any mobs or enemies before you pull the boss. So the paladin was trying to do that. Somebody else pulled the boss, and we ended up wiping and pulled the whole room. You can see that 15% movement speed talent is paying off dividends. I'm cruising inside. You can see how far ahead of the group I am here. 27 did get our first talent point in, and I want it to be Killing Spree because Killing Spree is a riot. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to pull it down here and just drop it on my bar. It is a combo point spending ability. So 1 to 5 combo points. And it is a finishing move that teleports to an enemy within 10 yards, striking with both weapons for physical damage the number of strikes and the damage is increased depending on combo point, and 100% of the damage taken during this effect is delayed, instead taken over 8 seconds. So why would you take this? Well, it does a little bit more damage than Dispatch, which is good. However, it does have one unique aspect to it, which is that it teleports you all over the place because you're doing a killing spree. So we're not going to use it now, we're going to use it on the boss, but you'll kind of see why that damage absorption is necessary. So the whole group's back, all the mobs are clear. We're going to fight in this half of the room, and every boss has its own mechanics that make it really unique compared to just like regular mobs. So this guy goes to the forge, he starts hammering on it, we all take damage, and then you get these little spread mechanics that send fire bolts out. So we actually didn't get a chance to use our killing spree, and then the other thing that he does for the tanks is he knocks them back, but we killed them already, so we're gonna try and sneak by these mobs as best we can. Oops, we got lit up. And get back up here. Good chance somebody might pull that one. We got a piece of loot from that boss, so we got lava bear leg wraps. You're not guaranteed, but there's a pretty good chance that when you're doing a regular dungeon, you'll probably get a piece of loot. And we're following the map, so we came up the stairs, around the corner, and then we're going back across. We're going to go back downstairs. Again, we're just following the tank here, so even if I didn't know where I was going, just follow your tank. We're going to use Killing Spree on this one, so you can see what that looks like. Got 5 combo points, and has you kind of dart all over the place. It's a little chaotic. Probably not the best for a new player, but it's a fun ability that deals damage and looks cool. And then we're coming out here, we're going to just drop down. I'm going to enter stealth because I don't want to pull these mobs. I want the tank to pull these mobs. It looks like our healer disconnected, which is a bit unfortunate. So what I'm going to type in the chat is I'm going to type healer offline. One of the things that you can do in these situations is you can vote to remove them from the group. We don't ever want to abuse this. Again, we're following the tank. Tank's going over to the next boss, which is across the way here. We're going to fight those folks. So what you can do is you can right click and select vote to kick. I'm going to do that because I do want a healer here. So I'm going to say AFK, or I'm going to say DC. It's going to send a message to the rest of the people in my party that'll ask if we want to kick him. And it did. It went through because he was gone. I probably shouldn't have done that in the middle of this big pull. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of mobs being pulled. So we're trying to just kill what we can. And we should also be kidney shotting. Oh god. Vanish to get rid of anything that's attacking me. And we're gonna go into that killing spree again. It's up on our screen here. We made it. Looks like maybe the priest is helping out there. Now, we picked up that quest after we already started the dungeon, which is a bummer because it wants us to loot stuff. It wants us to loot notes and journals. We got our new one. That's a naming choice, that's for sure. We got our new healer, so he's going to teleport in. Sometimes it'll start you at the start of the dungeon, but most of the time it'll just start you right where your group is. we're blade flurrying to do AoE damage. Stunning things that are channeling on our team members. I accidentally body pulled, which is a little unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. Plugging along here. Picking up some new notes. Hopefully we pull enough to get this quest done. Getting the quest done in the dungeons can be good. It gives you, you can see here like a bunch of stuff, right? We get a choice between a piece of blue gear, which is great. That's the first blue gear from a quest. And then it gives you a good chunk of XP. So, you know, I mentioned that the cap for my level was 30,000. Now it's 31,000. I get 23 from completing a random dungeon. And I get 7 from a dungeon quest. That means you get 1 full level per dungeon, which is great. Like that's pretty good. And the random dungeon experience also scales up with your level, so it's always giving you a certain percentage. Going into another boss fight here, so like that's the whole fun of the dungeon. You go through and you kill groups of monsters that we refer to as trash mobs. So we're just gonna hit with killing spree. This guy does a frontal lava spray and just plugging along. He'll also like charge across the room. Individual boss mechanics aren't something that are going to be a focal point for us in these leveling dungeons. You can see like they die pretty quickly. And then we're going back to the middle here. They die pretty quickly. But when we get to the end game of the current expansion, that's when we'll start talking about individual dungeon mechanics. We're just jumping down here, and we just crossed this part of the dungeon. This dungeon is very cyclical. You start here at the entrance, and you go in one direction to kill this boss. You go upstairs, you kill another boss. You come across, kill this boss, and then you go back into the middle to kill the final boss. So this guy is dying. These guys are hitting him really, really hard. And this is a great time to use Feint. This bird is casting an AoE ability. So Feint reduces AoE damage by 40%. We're going to run across here. It's actually hurting us for a little bit of damage. And we'll follow in the tank. These guys can see through stealth, so we're going to let him engage first so we can get behind, ambush, and start attacking. Blade flurry. This guy put a little shield up around him and then started casting Molten Army, which summoned these little guys here. And then Blade Flurry is available, so we're gonna get 5 combo points. Blade Flurry, killing spree, and it's dealing all this like splash damage around. So we killed that bird before he could do his knockback. It's great. And I didn't get enough of the notes, unfortunately. These guys do drop them, but looks like Miss Peach did accept the quest. And then this is the final boss. He'll have his own abilities. You can see he's surrounded by treasure. Again, this isn't, this isn't a dungeon guide video. This is just a leveling video. So just do what you can. We have Molten Gold on us. It's a debuff, dealing fire damage. So this is a good time to use Cloak of Shadows. See, that debuff went away, so my healer doesn't have to heal that off of me anymore. There's a big frontal. We want to not be standing there. And then this boss also summoned this little magma guy. But that's awesome. We did it. We got a couple more notes, which is good. We got a chest piece from killing the last boss. So we're going to take a look at that. That's got more stats for us. We leveled up, which is great. So we're now level 28. We got a new talent point. We're going to continue working our way down here to improved ambush and acrobatic strikes. This talent gives Feint an additional charge, which is awesome. So now when it comes to AoE abilities, we can cast that, and then we can cast it again if we need to while it's recharging over its 15-second course. So really durable against AoE abilities. And then we're just going to right click our character panel, and we're going to click leave instance group. You can also right click the dungeon finder to leave instance group or teleport out of dungeon, and that's just going to place us right back where we were in our campaign quest, what we were doing out in the open world. In classic WoW, and actually in later versions of retail WoW, you do have to walk to the dungeon if you're running Mythic Plus, or in classic if you're just doing a dungeon, you have to walk to it. You don't have to if you use this group tool. However, if you do have a group of friends, you'd still queue through the tool, but you could actually walk to the dungeon and walk inside if you need to. But yeah, leveling through dungeons can be a great option if you are a tank or a healer. You can queue up as a DPS. I would recommend it just to like get in there and get familiar with the concept of dungeons, because you want to get comfortable in there. You want to get comfortable playing with other players, especially for the end game. And then there's also these events that'll happen. So, you know, there's a bunch of options here: follower dungeons, specific dungeons, and random dungeons we talked about. Heroic dungeons can be done at the level cap for that expansion. They'll reward you with higher item level gear. And then there are events that'll happen throughout World of Warcraft. You can see what events are active if you click on the calendar icon up in the top, very, very top right. We're currently in Midsummer Festival, which means that this little boss is going to be available. It's called the Frost Lord of Hoon. And if you complete this, your first victory per day will grant you a satchel of chilled goods and a little bit of gold. And usually events like this, like Midsummer Festival, Brewfest, Hallows End, they're holidays, and so they will last for a certain amount of time. You can see Midsummer started last Saturday and goes until next Saturday. And you can get like transmog, mounts, different things from fighting these different bosses. And you can queue into those through the dungeon tool. There's also stuff out in the world too. Like I can go get the Midsummer Fire Festival buff, which you would see if we made it to a capital city. That would be available there. And then there's also what's called time walking. So time walking is available every so often. You'll be able to see it through the calendar, and we're in a specific time walking event called Turbulent Timeways. And so what's going to be happening like right now, if you happen to be watching this, is you're going to get access to time walking dungeons every week until August 5th. And time walking dungeons are another great opportunity to level up. You can see here, if you do a random time walking dungeon, you're going to get about 10,000 more experience than just doing a random regular dungeon. You're also going to get this satchel of helpful goods, which can contain gear, and you're going to get time warp badges, which can be turned into a vendor for mounts, transmog toys, stuff like that. So this week, our time walking dungeon is Mists of Pandaria. So it's going to be selecting from a pool of dungeons that are available from Mists of Pandaria. And each week until August, this changes. And Turbulent Timeways also has its own benefits. So during Turbulent Timeways from June 17th to August 5th, you will, for completing consecutive time walking dungeons, you will gain knowledge of timeways, increasing your experience gain temporarily. Also, for a limited time, the time walking quests in Dornegal, which is the main city in the most recent expansion, will offer an increased reward, which is we'll talk about that when we get to level cap. If you complete enough time walking dungeons during Turbulent Timeways, you also get a mount. And so if you're leveling up, this is a great way to get a quote unquote free mount. if you do this right now, you actually get access to this super sweet Chrono Corsair. So if you do time walking enough, I think it's like 10 time walking dungeons, where you refresh the buff enough time, you'll get this awesome pirate dragon mount, which is super cool. So I would recommend it. Time walking dungeons. So the only downside to this for a new player is that it's going to throw you into dungeons that don't have anything to do with the expansion that you're in. But these dungeons do rotate from week to week. So if you look at the calendar, this week it's Mist of Pandaria. And then next week it'll change. So time walking dungeon event begins. I don't know actually how to click on it, but it'll tell you what time walking is available when you go into this dungeon tool. So time walking, another good example. We'll definitely be doing some of that throughout this video series, because when we get to end game, we're gonna want that loot that is available, especially good for a starter character. It's gonna give us access to some raid loot without actually having to do the raid, which is great for getting a little boost. So I do want to kind of wrap this video up. I didn't know that was going to teleport me. I was just trying to click on some mobs. But it looks like this is part of the quest that we're on. So I'm going to just kind of stop talking and chill and just get through our next 2 levels to bring us up to our 10 level cap. So we'll go from 20 to 30 today. So you can just enjoy me clicking through mobs and killing things that threaten the Green Dragonflight. We get our second or our third mount. This has been Windborn Velocidrake, so it just dropped into our inventory. We're gonna learn it. And I kind of like him. He's weird looking, so I'm gonna make him my mount for a little bit while we're in the Onarim Plains. It did also give us unlocking like a specific thing. I'll show you what it looks like here. So ride your dragon riding mount into Winds of the Isle. Is trying to get us to go over to these different areas. So throughout the Dragon Isles, you'll see these little vortexes. They'll just give you a boost when you're leveling. So that one like pushed us upward. Not critical in any means, but good for helping us collect these reports.
You stand amidst the carnage that secured our victory.
See those stone pillars? They are part of a barrier that keeps anyone from approaching. We must protect them, or the island's defenses will fall.
There's another little updraft nearby to help us get around.
What news do you become the eagle?
We're doing a little scout, so this just turned us into an eagle. We're just looking around. We see the unrest. We see, is that our hunter friend? Nope. We see some folks down there questing. So we'll join the fight soon. Nope, they got us.
Return to the winds of our blessed child of Onara. Tell me of your dream.
Do you see? Those pylons empower Corleth's destructive power. If we can't stop her, she will destroy the hill, and the ward that protects the ancient bow will fall.
I talked previously about like cutscenes and how I was just gonna kind of let them play in case people wanted to learn a little bit. There's two types of people in WoW. There's people that like the lore, and there's people that just don't really care. If you want to skip any cutscene, you absolutely can just by clicking the escape button, and it'll ask you for a little confirmation to skip the cutscene. I like to watch cutscenes, but really skip over most of the quest text. I kind of get it, right? We're fighting in this area. We're trying to save the green dragons. You can put that through just with context clues. But if you really like lore and you want to learn more and read, you absolutely can. One thing I will say for like anybody who's like really, really new and starting out, from a lore perspective, the stuff that I'm doing, the overarching campaign, the characters that you see there, you know, they might come back around. Things like the dragon aspects with Alexstrasza and with Wrathion, like those are big parts of the quest, but these like little centaur folks, you know, I'm not really ever going to be probably talking to them much as like part of the main big huge story of World of Warcraft. So you'll kind of get a feel for what's quote unquote skippable and what's maybe not so skippable as you keep playing. This is not the fastest of quests. Oh, it's because I'm doing a bonus objective, silly goose. That'll be good. Bonus objective will get us some more stuff, but what I really want to do is definitely make sure I'm killing primalists, Nokud warmongers. So I'm gonna go back in there and look for some of those, because those are going to be double dipping. You can see the blue inside of the orange, so this is going to give us credit. You can see down in the bottom right at the tooltip, it's going to give us credit for both. So we completed that quest. We're going to turn it in, see what the next one is. So I want to see if it's also in this bonus objective area. Looks like it is. And they want us to click this summon Marithra to blow up these pylons.
I see the pylon.
Oh, she's getting attacked. Didn't see that. Our killing spree here. %, on our bonus objective, so we'll go over to the next pylon. Seed here.
There it is.
Next pylon. Holy, this guy's got a whole posse around him. What the heck?
Good. I will take it from
And
here.
then storm corridor deactivated, so we want to go into this cave. What does it want us to do? Oh, hello. Let me kill these summoners. That's what we'll do. We can go shooting our way. We killed the summoners. We did the bonus objective. We're turning in the quest. We're crushing it.
Follow the wind.
Almost to level 29. Corleth slain, so we're waiting for Corleth. During the downtime, just taking a look at our inventory. A good indicator of whether or not a piece of gear is actually better, aside from the secondary stats, is the primary stat higher. So like these bracers that I just equipped had 2 more agility than the bracers that I previously had. So I know that that's a good indicator. These stats in the beginning are not going to be super impactful. When you get to the Gotta jump to hit him. Come here. Okay, we're just gonna shoot him, I guess. A good indicator. The secondary stats will really come into play when you're at maximum level and you're going to be wanting specific stats for specific specs. But even then, typically for most classes, eye level is king. It's only when you get really you get a really good amount of gear that you're going to be comparing different, sets, and you're going to be trying to stack certain secondary stats. Oh, gotta kick that. Our energy regeneration rate is really slow, which is boring. It's much better when you just get to attack. Attack. Just unlike Classic. Classic, you're gonna get a little bit more weighting. And we'll get there. A lot of these talents down here will help us improve our energy rate. One cool thing about talents too is you can drop anything you want in the search bar. So like if I was curious about like, hey, my energy is really slow. Once we get improved adrenaline rush, that's going to generate full combo points and full energy when it ends. So that's going to give us some energy back. Fatal Flourish, your offhand attacks have a 50% chance to generate you 10 energy. Costs 5 less energy. When your dispatch consumes 5 or more combo points, dispatch deals 6% increased damage and costs 5 less energy for 8 seconds. So we're going to go over to this dragon and just talk to her. So our energy stuff will get better.
Come, little one. The primalists have been dealt with. Our forces will make quick work of any foolish enough to linger. Without our allies, we could not have achieved this victory. Marithra is summoning their leaders to an audience. She asked for you as well, my friend.
This day, you have proven yourself to the Green
I just realized raid testing is happening.
It is a deed of
I want to do
kindness
that,
and
so we'll go do
sacrifice
that
my
after
people
this.
will not soon forget.
Complete.
Against hatred and
We get level
chaos,
29.
the greatest weapon
Got our
of
talent point.
is fellowship. So come, friends.
Adrenaline rush causes your
Join me
next roll
under
the
the
bones to grant at
ancient
least 2
vow.
matches. So that's not too bad. Take a look at our guide, just see what it says. Pick up Fatal Flourish, Quick Draw, and Killing Spree. Fatal Flourish was that one. Offhand attacks have a chance to 50% chance to generate 10 energy, and then Quick Draw, half cost use of pistol shot, generate 1 additional combo point, and deal 20% increased damage. I'm feeling the energy problems, so I'm going to pick this one up before I pick up Quick Draw because I want to have more energy to be able to do more attacks. Continue along here.
From the hunters who value skill above all, a rite of passage, a first.
Yes.
From the mystics who commune with the wind, her lightest touch, a lift. It is you. From the descendants of the matriarch, a drop of unbroken progeny, an ancient line, unforgotten. What would you ask of me? This spear is proof of your skill. I accept this offering.
Does it have to be physical?
Are the offspring of Onara. This feather should suffice.
Tell me of your... Onara's spirit blesses us all. I accept your...
It's not going to be a child, that's for sure.
Here, take this.
Hello, champ. I remember Tira well. You are so much like her. I accept your offering.
I, the Kanamatra Serist, Accept this gift to honor the ancient oath made by our most sacred ancestor. All Centaur under Onara's wings will aid the Green Dragonflight in times of need.
And I, Marithra, daughter of Ysera, accept this gift to honor my oath to your ancestor Tira. Together, dragons and Centaur will protect the Onaran plains.
Should the dream be threatened again, know that the Maruk will fight beside you.
The bond that united us in ages past has been renewed. Let this oath stone serve as a symbol of our covenant. I vow to protect the Emerald Dream and the Green Dragonflight with my life.
All right. Store the oath stone. And we're done with the Onaran Plains. So we're gonna hop on our dragon. We got a long way to fly over here. One of the things that you often see me doing while dragon riding is like pointing my camera up and then pointing my camera down. Just trying to take advantage of like the momentum that's available. Because when I'm flying at a certain pace, I'm going to be recuperating vigor. So we were able to just kind of climb up that hill. We're going to go up. Snag this glyph on the way by. We got a new cloak. We're going to equip that. M to open the map, E to open the bag, C to open the character panel. Drop in here.
Anyone here who can help our efforts in the Azure Span?
So we got some mages.
Can help direct you toward the Kirin Tor's efforts in the Azure Span. Make sure to tell her Masood and Pakina sent you.
Ooh, how many more adventurers should we find?
We're going into the Azure Span, which is the next zone. It's blue, so I'll give you a hint on which dragons we're going to be helping out next.
I am sorry, but I do not know how to do this, fishing. Can it not wait?
Right. If you all insist on examining fish for this essence, then the least you can do is help me catch more.
I'm getting a bit concerned. We haven't heard back from the patrol up at Ronin's Shield.
Oh boy.
The Kirin Tor welcomes you.
The Kirin Tor are a group of mages. Their home is Dalaran. And one of their, not necessarily their leaders, but their main characters is Archmage Khadgar. He is a prevalent character throughout many of the storylines and expansions. He has a small part in Dragonflight. He likes to pop in. He had a really big role to play in Legion. You'll find that like each expansion tends to have like their narrative conductor. Khadgar was this in Legion. In Dragonflight, it's kind of Alexstrasza. She's kind of like the main good force that's pushing the narrative along. A little bit of Raytheon, some supporting characters will tend to have more involvement in the story, and some will have less.
It's good to
It can
see
also
you.
vary depending on like the alliance and the horde side of things too. So we're just gathering some magic stuff up. Power up this arcane blaster while we wait for Caligos. This is one of my like least favorite styles of quests, is when they ask you to get into like a turret and like blast stuff around. I don't play FPS games because I'm really not good at like predictive aiming. I like to just mash the buttons. Like you can see that dragon was pretty bad. And I'm pretty sure they make you kill every single one of them in this quest. So here's our last one.
Hold though. More primalists are coming. Fall back. We'll set up defensive positions.
The Kirintors shall not fall to these monsters. I must return to the archives. Send help when you can. The Azure Oathstone is proving difficult to reclaim.
I need to fend off the primalists to the east. It may fall on you to aid Caligos' adventure.
See you, Khadgar.
How are you, traveler? Keep your eyes and your
Ooh,
wits sharp
sweet. Nice upgrade. Oh, Khadgar's still here.
Will handle what remains of the
I feel like every time you deal with Khadgar, you get this like quest where he asks you like do some mage shit. So
This is the in case Khadgar isn't available, bring this package. We've got one more left.
bag of helpful goods. Yeah, we want to go help Caligos. I'm actually, while we're here, this is a bit of like a city or a hub, so I'm pretty sure in here is an inn. What we're gonna do here is I'm gonna make this in my home, and I'm gonna grab the flight path just to keep collecting those. I believe flight paths are now account wide, so once you collect them on your first character, you don't actually need to collect them on the second. But you can see here, like, I haven't needed it. I haven't used a flight path since. Just with the campaign, it's very straightforward, right? It has you explore the area, move on to the next one, explore the area, move on to the next one. We'll end in Thaldrazis. But what's going to happen, I'm going to turn in this quest with Caligos.
I fear our assumptions are correct. It's a problem with the lay. I'll see you above. I believe I'm making progress towards the problems surrounding the Azure Oathstone.
They're going to send me up top. I'm just going to hit level 30. I'm going to call it here for today. So what I want to do is go in Hearthstone back to...
Welcome to the Azure
Oh, there we go. I'm going to Hearthstone back to the inn so that I get rested XP for next time to make it a little bit better. At level 30, we've got Master Riding. So you can now ride at the highest possible speed on your flying mount. I don't think that actually has an impact on dragon riding speed. I'm pretty sure that's all based on the mechanic that you have here. We also got access to 2 new battlegrounds, Twin Peaks and Silver Shard Mines. So those are just new PvP battlegrounds that we can go into. And then of course we got a talent point for the class tree, which we'll allocate into auto attacks increase auto attack damage at movement speed by 1%, stacking up to 10%. or we've got ambush generates one more combo point. Doesn't really matter. We're getting things pretty quickly, so go with ambush. And we're just going to duck into the inn. And when we come back next time, what we're probably going to do, because hopefully you should be getting a good idea of like, hey, this, you know, I quest and I do the campaign, and I can do dungeons if I want to. So hopefully the next ones are a little bit less explanatory and more leveling focused. I'd like to get up to a higher level the next time. Because I want us to reach endgame and really start talking about some of the different things, or at least get into the different expansion and start unlocking some more stuff and talk a little bit deeper about the lore. But thanks for watching. Again, this is episode 3 of the new player guide to retail World of Warcraft. If you're, you know, just joining or you're watching from a different standpoint, basically taking some time to level a character completely fresh, on a completely new World of Warcraft account. I have no mounts, I have no gold, I haven't even purchased the War Within expansion yet. We're not using a boost, we're just trying the complete new level experience. The first video, episode 1, went through Exile's Reach and the first 10 levels. The second video is the next 10 from level 10 to 20, and it talks a little bit more about different concepts in the game, questing efficiently, mounts, collecting, endgame activities. And then this is the end of video 3, which is levels 20 to 30. We did our first dungeon. We talked about add-ons and where to find those. We talked about UI packs. We talked about WeakAuras very briefly and where to find those. So a lot of conversations, a lot of topics covered today. Next time, it'll be levels 30 to 40, maybe even a little bit beyond 40. We'll continue the campaign. We'll take a look at a time walking dungeon because it'll give us a little bit of an XP boost. We'll just kind of constantly queue into dungeons and do campaigns in between because we are a DPS class. And we'll just try and shoot our level up as high as we can. Goal is to get to the War Within expansion and progress through that. So thanks for watching,